Man cries learning his baby died during labor, years later finds out it was a lie. A man has a major heartbreak when he is told his baby has died during labor. He lives with painful and haunted memories of his dead baby until he accidentally discovers it was alive 14 years later. David was on his flight that day, dreaming of how he would be cuddling with his newborn baby in just a few hours. It was his first child with the love of his life, his wife Andrea, who went into labor a week ago while he was away on a business trip. With high expectations, David left the airport to see his wife and child. He was so excited and hurried home with toys and a heart full of joy, only to be told that his baby had died during delivery and was already laid to rest. David collapsed, crying. He had prepared a long list of baby essentials to shop, had big plans for the nursery, and even took a long paternal leave. He was crushed that day. Was it a he or a she? He cried to Andrea. It was a girl, a beautiful baby girl, darling. She had your eyes and nose. She has orphaned us. She has snatched our happiness away, sobbed Andrea. David was devastated. He could no longer pull himself together to see the nursery or to gather all the toys he'd got for his baby. He hated seeing his own reflection in the mirror. Several emotions of pain and anger haunted him as he cursed destiny for doing this to him. Who is this girl, and why does my DNA match hers? David wondered. My baby, why did you not wait for me to come? He cried near a little gravesite Andrea showed him that evening in the cemetery. 2 years later, David slowly started to come out of his loss. He still had hopes of restoring his fatherhood and planned for another baby with his wife. But Andrea turned down his idea, saying they needed to take precautions and avoid pregnancy again. Honey, the doctors advised me to opt for birth control. They said I'm too weak to bear another child and the delivery could be complicated. David pictured his whole world getting ripped apart after hearing Andrea out. He loved children, and it hurt him deeply to think he could not have any. 12 years passed since then, but the painful hollow feeling in David's heart did not heal. He got promoted twice, started his own family business, and his wealth multiplied during this time. But his only regret was the void left behind by his dead baby girl. One day, David opted for a DNA test to learn more about his family tree. After looking at some photos in an old family album, he got the idea and was intrigued about who his distant relatives could be. He ordered an at-home DNA test kit and sent his samples for testing, knowing little it would unfold a long-hidden truth about the baby he thought was dead. David was not expecting anything new from the test other than information about his distant relatives and the genetic diseases he might have. But to his surprise, he discovered that he had matched with an anonymous girl by 99%. Who is this girl, and why does my DNA match hers? He wondered. He checked for more details about the girl, but could not find anything else. That's weird. What is her name, and who is she? Why are these details not mentioned here? David sat back in deep thought and suddenly remembered the life of parties and blind hookups he enjoyed during his college days. Guilty of his past, he confessed his suspicions to Andrea. Honey, I've always wanted to tell you. You must already be aware of how I partied a lot during college and even hooked up with a few random girls I met. Andrea was puzzled about what David was talking about. She knew about his past, but had no clue why he was bringing up that topic now. I took a DNA test, and I strangely matched with an anonymous girl, but I don't know how and who she is, he revealed as Andrea paled out all of a sudden. She assumed he had found out about her secret and started to cry, sending him into a frenzy. Honey, please forgive me for hiding the truth, she sobbed. What truth? I'm sorry. Our daughter is still alive. I gave her up for adoption as soon as she was born because I did not want to have kids so early. I never wanted kids, but that pregnancy was just accidental. I did not want to commit to it, but it was too late. I wanted to live a life of parties and vacations and felt having children would ruin my plans. Our daughter what? David was furious. He went to the hospital where Andrea delivered the baby and pressed the nurse who attended her delivery for details. It turned out that the girl was born hale and hearty and sent with the mother a few days after the delivery. David stormed home and threatened Andrea he would divorce her. Fearing this, she disclosed the address of the foster home where she left the baby 14 years ago. The following day, David hurled the divorce papers at Andrea's face, saying it was the only punishment he could think of for what she did. After a lengthy legal tussle, David and Andrea split. He took all the money from the joint bank account and kicked her out for her wrongdoing. David then set out on a mission to reconcile with his daughter. Little did David know that it wouldn't be that easy because the girl had lived all her life assuming her father did not want her and hated him. David arrived on the doorstep of the foster family that raised his daughter and begged to send her with him. "Why have you come? We were told that you did not want your daughter, Lisa, in the first place. We adopted her and raised her for so many years. She hates you. Go away," they fumed. But David's heart wouldn't agree. "I want to see my daughter only once. Please, just once," he cried. "My ex-wife had lied to you. I love my daughter." After a moment of thought, the family agreed and asked David to revisit the next day. He met his daughter on their lawn the following day. It was the most painful meeting ever that brought tears to his eyes. While he was happy to see his child he never knew existed, he was heartbroken to think of the things she'd endured without his involvement in her life. David took slow, wobbly steps toward her. He was nervous about how she would react. "Darling, Lisa, I'm your daddy," he said, tearing up. "I've come for you." "Daddy? Why have you come now? I don't want to see you. My parents told me that you have come for me. I hate you 'cause you never wanted me," she fumed. "Go away. Why do you need me now?" David's heart almost skipped a beat. He showed her the paperwork from hospital records and photos of the toys and nursery he still had, trying to ward off her misunderstanding. "I always wanted a baby, but your mom hid you from me. I always loved you and missed you so much. I thought you were dead. Your mom made me believe all her lies," he sobbed. At this point, Lisa realized David was genuinely sorry and had come to reconcile with her. "Do you still love me? It's been 14 years, but do you still have that same spark you had when you ran home to hold me when I was born?" she asked. "I do, darling. You have grown, but you are still that baby I wanted to see and cuddle with," replied David, tears streaming down his eyes. Moved by her dad's love for her, Lisa agreed to move in with him, but on the condition he would still allow her to meet her foster parents. 2 days later, David returned home with his daughter. He was the happiest that day. Lisa burst into tears seeing her nursery, which David had kept in her memory. "I love you, Daddy," she cried, hugging her father, who shed only tears of joy that day. Children are not materials you can abandon whenever you want. Andrea gave her newborn baby for adoption and hid the hideous truth from her husband David for 14 years. When he found out, she confessed that she did not want to have kids and ruin her lifestyle full of parties and vacations. Some secrets can make or break relationships when unexpectedly exposed. When David discovered his wife had lied about their baby's death, he filed for a divorce. His marriage ended, but he reconciled with his daughter he never knew existed. A single teacher takes a fun DNA test on himself and his 14-year-old adopted son, only to discover that the boy is his biological son. Click here to read the full story. This piece is inspired by stories from the everyday lives of our readers and written by a professional writer. Any resemblance to actual names or locations is purely coincidental. All images are for illustration purposes only. Share your story with us, maybe it will change someone's life.